What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and it's Top 10 Thursday. It's just a fact of life that everyone has to die. Whether it be from food poisoning, a car accident, or a dramatic sword fight, eventually we all have to go. In video games, this is even more true. Sometimes you have to die 1,000 deaths just to save the day. But really, that's half the bloody fun. This week, I want to tear my way into the goriest moments of all, on my list of the top 10 most brutal deaths in gaming. Number 10. Off with his head. Kratos isn't a man you want to piss off. His vengeance truly knows no bounds, so when the Lord of Sun, Helios, betrays him, the only thing that'll settle the score is blood. Chasing him halfway across the world, he finally corners the wounded god, and rather than kindly talk their problems out, he decides to hold him down, step on his face, and rip his head off with his bare hands. If that wasn't mean enough, he then carries it around for the rest of the game to use as a supernatural flashlight. Number 9. Matt gets the hook. Anyone who grew up with horror movies is bound to love a nice, silly, slasher-filled adventure, and Until Dawn is exactly that. A group of wealthy, stuck-up teenagers get stuck in a mansion on the top of a mountain, and art choices during the course of the game determine who lives and who dies. Like this guy, Matt is your stereotypical jock. He's big, strong, and not afraid of anything. After falling down a mine shaft, he decides the only way out is to go and explore. Just minutes into his journey though, he's grabbed by a huge creature and starts getting dragged away. If you don't successfully break free, then Matt catches a nasty hook to the jaw. Ouch, that just looks extremely painful. Number 8. Bad weather. Choosing just one kill from Manhunt was a real challenge. This whole game is made up of nothing but gory attacks, but I think the demise of Starkweather definitely wins. By day, he's a famous director, but at night, he secretly makes disgusting snuff films on the side. We play a man who just escaped death row, and now he's stuck being the star of Starkweather's latest murderous movie. It's our job to sneak past all these psychos who patrol the dark alleyways and eventually find our way to Starkweather's apartment and use a chainsaw to disembowel and decapitate him. I'd say I feel bad for him, but honestly, he totally had it coming. Number 7. Face-eating finisher. The godfather of gorgeous, bloody action has got to be Mortal Kombat. From its very first appearance in arcades, it's been making people gasp and gag at its fatalities. Over the years, they've made these special moves more and more shocking until they've become absolute madness. Take, for example, Melina. She's a monstrous assassin whose specialty is not only taking targets out, but making sure that they experience terrible agony before the end. Watching her in combat is amazing, and her finishers are even better. What gives me horrible nightmares though is her face-chomping fatality. There's an odd mix of both hunger and anger that just makes this brutal to see in motion. Number 6. Nice haircut. When Leon Kennedy isn't tracking down evil corporations or protecting the president's daughter, he likes to relax with some good old-fashioned zombie slaying. The problem is, when struggling against the forces of the undead, there's always a chance that you could become dinner. In Resident Evil 6, we're left in a city being torn apart by chaos. Freakish experiments have been unleashed, and it's up to us to make sure our hero can survive the night. While taking a shortcut through a market, Leon is stopped by a shape-shifting creature, and if you accidentally let your guard down, it can do this. What you're seeing is Leon Kennedy slowly being shoved into a meat grinder. Number 5. The epic Stomp. The entire Metal Gear Solid series is built on crazy plot lines and even crazier boss battles, but one moment that sticks with fans the longest is the death of Gray Fox. During the finale, Liquid Snake has managed to steal Metal Gear Rex. This 40-foot-tall machine is made to shoot nuclear warheads, repel incoming attacks, and if necessary, destroy nations all on its own. Obviously, it's nearly impossible to hurt Liquid inside this tank. That is until Gray Fox dies dives out and cuts off its radar, weakening it considerably. In retaliation, Rex crushes him against a wall, shattering every bone in his body, and then steps back just long enough to let Fox fall to the floor, where he squashes him like a bug. This death just takes so long to unfold that it's still painful to watch. Number 4. Wild West Execution. Walking the dusty trails of America can be a wonderful but winding path. John Marsden knows this lesson well. Being raised in an orphanage, he was taught that life is all about how hard you're willing to fight back. Following these words, John joined a gang of outlaws and spent most of his days shooting strangers and robbing trains. However, in his old age, he wanted to settle down, have a family, and hopefully forget about the bad times. Unfortunately, fate isn't that kind, and eventually the government found where he was hiding. At first, they tried to get him to do dirty jobs to clear his name, but after a while, they decided that he was too dangerous to be left alive. They surrounded his home with hundreds of soldiers, and when he came out to try and make a final stand, they all opened fire at once. It was a sober reminder that we can change our futures, but the past can always haunt us. Number 3. Keep an eye out. Throughout the course of Dead Space 2, Isaac Clarke is forced to battle not just with zombified mutant corpses, but also with his own broken mind. During the events of the first game, he took a pretty big blast of psychic energy straight to the brain. This left him partially fried and having random hallucinations. When you're doing your best just to keep breathing in a space station crammed full of monsters, the last thing you want to have to deal with is a mental breakdown. Towards the end of the game, he finally unlocks a solution to his issue, though it isn't pretty. By hooking himself into a specialized diagnostic machine, he attempts to correct the errors in his mind. Doing this triggers a small minigame where we have to manually guide a needle directly into the center of his eye. If you press any wrong button or freak out during the procedure, the machine goes haywire, burying itself deep into his skull. Number 2. A slave obeys. Deep beneath the sea, a man named Andrew Ryan gathered all the greatest scientists in the world to form a hidden utopia. A perfect city where people could do whatever they wanted in the pursuit of new ideas. While this sounds fantastic, it wasn't long before they started testing on themselves, twisting the population into hyper-intelligent monsters. Our hero is just a random person who stumbles into this mess, but watching all the carnage go down, he sees that Andrew Ryan needs to die. Fighting his way through the dark, scary town, he's soon standing in the office of the man himself. It's here that we learn some shocking news. We aren't here by accident. Even though our character believes that he found his way here after a plane crash, in actuality, he's a mind-controlled slave sent here to assassinate the mayor of Rapture. Rather than beg for his life, Andrew Ryan instead proves how strong-willed he really is by handing you a golf club and using your control keyword to have you beat him to death. He leaves us with an incredibly powerful final message. A man chooses, a slave obeys. Number 1. Well done, Shane. If you've never played the standalone DLC, Infamous First Light, let me break it down for you. A young woman named Fetch is forced to go on the run with her brother when suddenly superpowers awaken inside her. In this world, people with her abilities are treated like terrorists and put in prison. Living life on the streets is hard, and sometimes you have to make bad choices just to be able to eat. When her brother gets captured by a local drug lord who thinks they owe him money, she knows that she needs to find him before it's too late. I won't spoil the whole plot, but let's just say that the rescue mission doesn't go very well, and Fetch lands herself in jail. As she sits in her cell brooding, she swears that no matter what, she'll kill the drug lord Shane, even if it's the last thing she ever does. When she sees a chance to break out and chase down the man who ruined her happiness, she takes it. Hunting Shane through the mountains, she destroys entire convoys of soldiers just to catch up with him. Cornering him on a cliff, she slowly tortures him using her light-based powers to scorch his skin, before simply grabbing him and cooking him from the inside. The closing scene of his ashes floating away on the wind really drives home that he met an excruciating end, and for that reason I am awarding this my pick as the absolute most brutal death in gaming. Did your favorite nasty moment not make the list? Got an idea for a future top 10? Leave it in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. I want to do a special thank you to everybody on Twitter who helped me write this video. Your suggestions really filled this list out with a lot of things I honestly hadn't thought of. Thank you for all the incredible suggestions. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to be a mature adult and go play with my Leon Kennedy action figure. Look at this, he comes with a shotgun. Mrrr. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, maybe check out my last video. Please subscribe, and if you want, share this somewhere with your friends.